Hello and welcome to day 34 of my 365-day iPhone challenge. It is about 20 past 10, so I will try and keep this brief. There's three bits of research I want to talk about today. Some research carried out by Anne Graybiel at MIT, some research carried out by Walter Schultz at Cambridge, a neuroscientist, and BJ Fogg, who's at Stanford, and we've talked before about in my video about chaining habits. Now, Graybiel has, and this was highlighted in Charles Duhigg's book, The Power of Habit, which is a great book. I strongly recommend it. She has broken down a habit to be formed with three things. A cue, so whether that's a ringing bell or the kettle boiling or walking into a certain shop, a routine that occurs, so you follow a routine. So once the kettle boils, you make a cup of tea and you pick up your phone, for example, to look at Facebook, and then a reward, and the reward could be likes on your Facebook page, for example. And she's done that study with rats, and it's been extrapolated up to humans, and so she believes that's how habits are formed: a cue, a routine, and a reward. Schultz has worked with primates and believes there's another element to this, and it's to do with the anticipatory effect of dopamine, which we've talked about when we've talked about emotions in the brain. That what happens is a cue occurs, and then before the routine has even started, there's a hit of dopamine in the brain that says, oh, this is where you do this thing. And if you don't do it, the brain feels sad. And this is how cravings are formed. And therefore, the craving drives the routine to the reward. Fogg, as you know, believes in the power of chaining habits, where you chain a tiny habit to an existing habit. So, for example, you brush your teeth and you do one push-up. And you do that for a week. And then when you brush your teeth, you do 2 push-ups. And you build up it that way. Now, all of them have highlighted that the importance of a reward, because if there isn't a reward that's strong enough, a new habit will not form. So for most of us, what happens is, whether it's a behavioral habit or an emotional habit, we don't build a strong enough reward or craving into the system. So if you want to develop a new habit, like you want to go for a run tomorrow morning, what you have to do is, the cue would be you lay out your running clothes the night before. You get up, you just put them on. Then the routine, which will be difficult at the start, and you will run. The reward at the end will either be a really good breakfast, a hot shower. It might be that you log your miles in a public, in a Fitbit, and share it with the world, and people go, yay, brilliant, or a running buddy. But the reward has to be there, and it has to be strong enough to create the dopamine craving, because for a habit to form, you not only must have the cue, the routine, and the reward, you must have the anticipatory craving of that. So if the reward isn't big enough or good enough, you will not do it. You will find it hard to develop that habit. And the thing is, we are doing this unconsciously all the time. So when they've done studies about how people, families end up living off fast food, for example, like McDonald's, what happens is they do it once, they have a nice hit of fat and salt and sugar and all that, and then they think, oh, once will be fine, and then they end up doing it once a week or once a month, and then before they know it, they're doing it once a week, and then they're about doing it twice a week. I've had an experience like that, about 15 years ago, I found myself driving past a 24-hour Krispy Kreme. I ordered a cappuccino because I was tired, and I ordered a donut because why not? It was only an extra £1. And before I knew it, I found myself driving past a week later, had another one. Something I was driving past twice a week, and so I'd pop in, and then I found myself not even driving past. I would be at home, and at 11 o'clock at night, I'd have a craving for a Krispy Kreme and a donut, and I would find myself out there ordering a coffee and a donut. How did I stop that habit? It was really simple. Krispy Kreme closed down. So that was the end of the cue, because I knew that the cue was, once I got the cue was, I felt an anticipatory one for it, or at night that was the cue, and I knew the routine. The routine was to drive to Krispy Kreme, and then I'd get my reward. But guess what? I couldn't drive to Krispy Kreme. The routine was disrupted, and that was the end of the habit. I couldn't. Now I still felt sad, and I missed the dopamine, but that was the end of the habit. So for all of us, we have to create new cues and new routines to develop new habits with a strong reward. And not only can we do that with behaviors, we can do that with our thought processes as well, because actually many of our thought processes are because of habits, not because do we have control? Are we in self-control? Do we have self-control? Of course we do, but I believe that many of the ways we think and act are because of habits and routines we have built in our head because of a cue, a routine, and a reward. So remember, tomorrow, if you want to start a new habit, create a cue, whatever it is. Create the new routine. Create a really powerful reward. Really good one that makes you want to anticipate for it, and repeat. And if you repeat that over a period of time, that will become an ingrained habit. Speak to you tomorrow. Bye.